Hello again, FA Nation. Justin Fensterman here, and it's Fantasy Football Stock Watch time. Week 2 concluding. Week 3, we're already focused on it. Let's talk about players and their fantasy football production potential. Players trending up and down. Let's hit that marketplace. All right, let's start with players trending up. We got to go with Jaylen Waddle. Through 2 games, Waddle has been a top 4 targeted wide receiver in the NFL, and that's him sharing targets with Tyreek Hill. Waddle actually received 19 targets and caught 11 passes against the Ravens in Week 2. Tua Tagovailoa has thrown the 4th most passes of any quarterback through 2 games, and he's completed over 71% of them and has shown that he can feed both Hill and Waddle in this offense. Big test coming up for Miami as they battle Buffalo in Week 3, but at least for now, Hill will be prioritized a bit more by opposing defenses than Waddle. Also on the rise, Christian Kirk. After posting 117 receiving yards in Week 1, Kirk was able to hit the end zone twice in Week 2. He leads the Jaguars in targets and receptions. Trevor Lawrence has completed 68% of his passes thus far. Week 3 will be a tough one for the Jaguars as they face the Chargers, but the Jags have been able to hang in games, and in case the Chargers bolt out to an early lead, Lawrence will need to throw more to get back in the game, and that should definitely benefit Kirk. They just impressively shut out the Colts. Final riser, another receiver, Curtis Samuel. Through 2 games, Samuel has received 20 targets, the most in the Commanders, and he's hit the end zone twice. The most amount of targets he's received in his career is 105, back when he was on the Panthers when current Commanders head coach Ron Rivera was running the show in Carolina. We've even seen Samuel get utilized on the ground a bit, something Rivera also did when the two were in Carolina. Samuel is healthy, and there's a lot of familiarity there between him and the coaching staff, and the Commanders will need to throw a lot to stay in the game against the Eagles in Week 3, and Samuel has been a very big-time favorite target of Carson Wentz. Now for some players trending down, gotta start with Russell Wilson. After throwing just 1 touchdown pass against his former team, the Seahawks, in Week 1, in what should have been a bounce-back game for him against the Texans, Wilson completed just 14 passes of the 31 he threw. What's going on with his decision-making? Is it Russ, the questionable coaching decision of Coach Hackett? It's not going to get easier for Wilson, especially if Jerry Jeudy has to miss time with a shoulder injury. KJ Hamler has been banged up, and they don't even have the services of Tim Patrick. The 49ers were able to hold down the Seahawks in Week 2, and that's who's up next, unfortunately, for Denver. Also trending down, Chase Edmonds. After seeing what Breece Hall and Michael Carter did in the air against the Ravens in Week 1, Edmonds had such a juicy matchup in Week 2 against them, only to get 5 carries and 3 targets in the game. Edmonds' running back mate, Raheem Mostert, has proven that he can be successful on the ground when he's on the field, and he actually out-snapped and out-carried Edmonds in Week 2. The Dolphins were down big, but they didn't utilize Edmonds much in the passing attack, and it brings up the question whether or not Edmonds will get targeted more if the Fish are trailing big against Buffalo in Week 3. It's hard to trust his usage, and Mostert has rushed for 5.6 yards per carry for his career, and Coach McDaniel is very familiar with Mostert as the former 49ers offensive coordinator. Final faller, Kmet. Kmet was drafted as a tight end 1 by the end of draft season, and he has yet to produce even 1 fantasy point through 2 weeks of action. He's been targeted just twice. Justin Fields has completed fewer passes than any other quarterback to start in 2 games. Even in an appealing Week 3 matchup against Houston, how can we trust any of the Bears' pass catchers if their quarterback has been so lousy? Fields threw 11 passes on Sunday night, 11 after throwing 17 in a torrential downpour the week before. He's completed under 54% of his throws so far. Start Kmet at your own risk. Yikes.